So now you've seen that technique, I want to show you another technique which is quite neat. So I prefer this because it's easier to direct scenes and change things if people don't like it. Because the vertex map, as soon as you change one polygon or if you move one building, it changes the whole thing because of how random it is. So what we would like to do is we'd like to create city blocks. So if we just create a plane, scale it up, we'll probably duplicate it a few times and hide them for now. So what I'll do is I just want to create a little L shape, select, invert, delete. So that's one section of the city. C1. Invert, delete. Section 2 of a city. You can see what I'm doing here now, can't you? And then again, invert, delete. For this example, just to stick with those, don't need to use all 5. So we've got sections of a city now that we can use. So we can use these patterns to distribute and create our own little world. So if we just create a corner of a city for now. It takes a little bit more time to set up, but it means that you've got way more flexibility. So what we'd like to do is we've got all our buildings here, but what we'd like to do first is we'd like to just create an instance of each one. Let's just get this here. So for city distribution, we get this little section of the city here, and we just want to put all these buildings into this distribution, and we can probably make it less because it's just one little tiny section. Leave this type as surface and we'll drag the C1 on. So now we've got buildings on that distribution. So if we quickly have a look, let's just turn them off now for the instances. Cool. Okay, so we don't need that many. So hopefully you can see what's going to happen now when we do this again. So we've got one little section of a city. If we just pause that again, we can just duplicate this city distribution, but obviously get rid of these because it's going to add the models. Turn our instances on and drop them into the distribution instead. So rather than duplicating the models and adding to the VRAM, just having instances will help. It still adds to the VRAM, but it's a bit less because it's just referencing the other object. So this time we just want these instances to distribute on C2. And again, we will copy and paste this. We can actually do that for this one because these are instance copies. And then C3 for this one. So now we've got buildings on each one. So send that to the render. And there we go. We've got a city populated, and you can actually manually go in and add more buildings to just certain sections, which is fabulous because it does. Trying to distribute a city and then finding the perfect shot can sometimes be quite annoying, which is the other method. It's good for fast renders if you just want to like create one shot with like a smoky cyberpunk city from an aerial. But for this, if you was going to like do any scenes on the ground or both, where you do aerial shots and on the street, then it's good to create these little sections that you can have more control over and distribute. You can then actually use a scatter to distribute these sections as well, if you was brave enough to do that sort of thing. So the more of these that you create, the more flexibility you've got. And equally, what you can do is you can create these sort of things for your master shots, and then you could just have a normal one big plane at the background with like a scatter that's just generic, so that you can just fill the background with other buildings. But if you want control over the ones that are in the foreground, this is the best technique I've found so far. So just before I leave, let's just create something that does look like a street. So then if you was to like create the rest of the scene, it's quite easy to see as well, because you've got these little sections where to put the other details if you was going to rely on Octane scatter. And it's just equally going to be, yeah, it's just a way better technique. So hopefully you found this useful, and I'll catch you on the next one.